Hello, everyone. Welcome to Newcastle Fans TV. Tonight, something a little bit different. Dinosaur tactics have always been mentioned across the Premier League. The likes of Tony Pulis, Mark Hughes, Sam Allardyce, Alan Kirbishley, Steve Bruce, just to name a few. And we're going to take a look at a few stats from the game against Sheffield United, but also we're also going to take a look at some stats from the Premier League. Yes, hello everyone. I hope you are doing all right. So, have you got Sheffield United out your system yet? Because I haven't. I'm doing a couple of days later now, but now a time to reflect. So, welcome everybody. If you are watching, great to have you on board tonight as well. We'll also read out some of your comments as they come through as well. So, Bruce out says Thomas, I haven't recovered from Tuesday. Get him out before it's too late. And some pundits have still been coming out and back him. Interesting, Ollie, though, but more are going against him, especially a lot of people who are on Talk Sport. I know you probably don't think much of Talk Sport. However, there has been a lot of people coming out against Steve Bruce. So there's a turn of tide happening here, and people are now starting to see that Newcastle aren't great. And I'm talking about the people who don't watch it like me or you, because me and you, watch every game. Whereas a pundit on Talk Sport or the national media only probably see Newcastle, once every 6 weeks or so. But you can see your comments coming in as well. Right, let's crack on with it. So we're going to take a look back at a few stats, first of all, from Sheffield United. And you'll probably guess it's not going to be pleasant having a look at these stats. And then, as I say, we'll have a look at the Premier League. So we'll start back with the lineup, as you would have seen. So Sheffield United on the left-hand side there, and you've got Newcastle's over on the right-hand side with the three substitutes that came on. So the lineups, obviously, we talked about this the other day. We're happy to see Ryan Fraser back, happy to see Callum Wilson back, and it was good to see Carl Darlow because I think he's fully, is that the right word? Fully deserved to keep his place in goal. But, of course, it was the wing-back system, which nobody, and a lot of people in our pre-match, which I host, before Carl and Adam take over and we'll watch along, just weren't happy seeing five at the back. And that was the big thing to come out of it. The substitutions, which you've seen later on, which was Matt Ritchie, Andy Carroll, and Jacob Murphy. Look, you can question them, but the substitutions for me were too late, especially when we went 1-0 down. Then Bruce made the changes. Why not earlier? And 10 men. You could probably say that, but Bruce played on the fact of the 10 men. But really, we were awful. And it's embarrassing. And for Steve Bruce still not to be sacked is an insult to me, and it's an insult to you watching, because Steve Bruce should not be manager of our great football club. Formation, right? So we talked about this. Why are you scared? And we've talked about this loads. I'm not going to go on about it loads all night because we've all got it out with systems. Why are you playing five at the back? What are you scared of? So this is, and I'm not going to be disrespectful for the opposition because Sheffield United absolutely deserved it. As I said already, they look like Atletico Bilbao. They're ripped apart. But when you look at that lineup, there's no names there. There's nobody that you're scared of. This is against a side who haven't won in the Premier League all season and haven't kept a clean sheet. What is Steve Bruce scared of here? Where's the threats? McGoldrick's only scored 5 goals in 2 years. Ollie Burke's been around, and he's still young, a journeyman. Fleck, Norwood, Lundstrom are nowhere near to what they were last season. What's he scared of? Why not be brave? Why not be bold? Why not go for it against the bottom side? Is what we all wanted, and we were all let down massively, massively. Very, very disappointed. Couldn't get it. We couldn't get it. Why he's playing five at the back? It just astounded we're all. So now we're going to look at a few more of these stats. So if you're on your mobile, you want to stick your eyes right next to your mobile here. So these are the stats against Sheffield United. Okay. The top left of your picture is possession. Sheffield United had a whopping 68% possession. We only had 32. Now, granted, the red card by Ryan Fraser was stupid. We all know that. Would it have changed the game? I don't think so, because even before that sending off, it was all Sheffield United. Blew us apart in terms of possession. Now, that's not surprising, don't get me wrong, because majority of the games that Newcastle have been in this season, we've barely had the ball. But look at the pass accuracy. Sheffield United, 87%. Who were we playing here? Barcelona. Ours has always been around 72, 73, 74, 75. We're not brilliant at passing. 3/4 of the passes go at the right man. Long passes, we started to go long. Of course we did, because we're playing. Callum Wilson was doing a lot of the running, and then he had obviously Andy Carroll later on. So that doesn't surprise me. Dual win rates, heading in the ball in the air, it's even. We're not going to look into that too much. But look at the tacks per minute. We only tacked 0.28 every minute, whereas Sheffield United were over half, 0.67. Recoveries, we had to make a less, still, even though we were obviously the side that we're getting battered are lower. So that one is probably the only one that surprises me, is the recoveries. But all of these stats, and this in the neutral fans who are watching tonight are probably saying, well, it's only one game, Lee. It's only one game. Get over it, man. It's not like you play like this every game. We do. These stats that we get from Scout is every single game we are the second best, no matter who we play. So for tonight, okay, so what we'll do, if anyone's going to object to that, we'll bring up some Premier League stats and where we are on the table in terms of touches, passes, shots in a moment as well. Before we move on as well, let's have a look at Kevin Scott, who's a new member. Thank you very much, Kevin. Hope you liked the video of me earlier on in the snow where I nearly fell over. Some members would have seen that. Would have been actually nice to see us playing some wingers. Yeah, all tucked in as well. And Ginger Hoskin says, remember, Lee, 5 at the back, 26 games, 2 wins. Yeah, I should put that stat in, shouldn't I? Absolutely joke. Worse record than McLaren and Carver, says Oscar as well. Look at everybody who's joining in now. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. If you are watching, hit that like as well, because we're going through some stats which is going to, well, not make us happy, but it's going to make a lot of neutrals probably make sense that we're awful. And we're not that the different. Nah, that didn't get me wrong. Lee is going to explain the 2 false number 10s. I can't. Sean Longstaff was apparently the false 10. A false 10 is basically a false striker, isn't it? Effectively, isn't it? I know what a false striker is. A false 10 and 2 of them. What's that? Is that just 2 attacking midfielders? Is that just a posh word from it? Pass on that. Let's move on to the next stat. And I wanted to highlight where we were attacking. So these are the attack levels, right? So we were a lot more predominant down the right-hand side. And that's not surprising, since Jamal Lewis is not playing. You can't ask Paul Dummer to get up and down. Normally on the left-hand side, that is a lot higher with Jamal Lewis, because Jamal Lewis does bomb on the left side, which is 61%. We went down the right-hand side, 12% for the middle, 28% on the left. Sheffield United, if you look at that, of course, in fact, all of their play, majority of their play, with threats were coming down the left-hand side. They did obviously attack 10 times down the right-hand side, but only got 3% success out of that. So we're using the middle and the left-hand side. But if you have a look at how many attacks, right, Sheffield United on the left-hand side, 33. Down the middle, 22. 10 on the right. Then take a look at Newcastle's, just 8 on the left, just 9 through the middle, and just 10 on the right-hand side. And this is against a side who are rock bottom in the Premier League. Again, I go back to that question earlier on when I put the formation up. What's he scared of? What is he scared of? You can't predict the future because you didn't know what was coming against Sheffield United. And credit to Sheffield United, if they play like that, they'll get a lot more points, granted. But we should not be setting up like that against a side who hasn't won all season and never even kept a clean sheet. And like I say, the red card for me didn't affect the game. It made it a lot more harder for we're going forward, but it didn't affect it massively for me, because even before that, it was just all one way. Shot at goal, we'll have a look at that. So the magnificent Carl Darlow pick shot as well. He was man of the match for a lot of people yet again, which is again against the bottom of the side. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Again, if you're on your mobile, you want to put your eyes right at the screen. So these are the shots. So we had 7 shots. So the Sheffield United badge, that's when we attacked their goal. 7 shots, 3 on target, 2 went wide, 2 were blocked. But then if you look at Sheffield United's attack on Newcastle's goal, a whopping 17 attempts with just 4 on goal, 6 of them one wide, one on the post. Obviously, that was in the second half, wasn't it? and then 6 blocked and 1 goal, which was the penalty. Well, look, I haven't got the penalty up. We're not talking about the penalty because whether it was a penalty or not, it doesn't affect how Newcastle are currently playing at the moment, because it's not. Again, let's go back to what you're saying in the comments as well. Not a joke. It is embarrassing. It just beggars belief he didn't do a single thing right with the formation, the tactics in the shape, etc. Completely useless. Penalty screws. We've still got players from the championship season. Liam, we've got some attacking players. We've got some great attacking players. You look at our front four, if they're playing in the right position. Miggy's off the boil, but Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, and then I've missed somebody off, haven't I? But those front four, Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Miguel Miron, and Alan Saint-Maximin, that's who I forgot. Those 4 threat going forward. We should be utilising their strengths. Play at your strengths. And we just didn't. And our ASM's missing, which, granted, ASM, when he comes back, will help with going forward. He will. You'll get higher up the pitch, because that's what he does. He can go past 2 or 3 players without any problems. Even Horsey plays FM. I play Football Manager as well. I'm thinking about doing a series on the second channel, NFTV Extra, for that as well. Lee Kenny Bride, Bruce Football Manager 21 for his birthday. It's just past his birthday, mind. You got to be waiting another year, Ginger. Who thinks Dummett is a left wing back? Nobody does. Steve Bruce is lucky that fans aren't in the stadium. I totally agree. Lay of the front 4. Are surviving front 4. It's not a real threat, but we should play. What I'm getting at is, Ginger, is that we should be playing at their strengths, set up for them. There shouldn't be none of this Joe Linton in the side. If they're all fit, they all play every week, unless one of them drops in form. But at the moment, we've got now gone forward, so play your best side, and those 4 going forward are our best side. The stats going into the game, again, I've already touched upon the possession. It's an absolute joke. Shots I've touched upon, shots on target. Look at the touches. Sheffield United almost have double the amount of the ball for touches for their players. Look at the passes, again, double once again. Tackles, even. Clearances, we were double. Yeah, sorry, we were double this time, because obviously we were under the cosh a lot. Corners, offside, yellow cards, red cards, etc., etc. We're not going to go into that in too much detail as well. We'll come on to the Premier League in a moment, but I keep saying it. It's not just this game. This game hurts a lot because it's against a side who hasn't won. But I could go through loads of games with you. I could go through games where we've won games, and I keep saying it. The only 2 games that I feel Newcastle were the better side in were West Ham at the start of the season, and in parts, not fully, but in parts, against Burnley, but only in spells for that. Right, okay, so that's the match stats. Now, where's the strengths and weaknesses? Where's that came from this game? So we're going to take a look at that next, and then we're going to move on to the Premier League and where we stand. So the strengths, and this is by who scored, haven't even got us listed as any strengths whatsoever in the game. However, they've got Sheffield United listed as we were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities through individual skill. Weakness for Sheffield United, they were poor at finishing. I have to agree on that. And they were aggressive, so it didn't go for them. But if you look at Newcastle, we're poor at finishing. We barely got any chances, mind. We're aggressive. Lost possession too much, giving the ball away. Long balls as well, which I didn't like, going anywhere. Callum Wilson cannot run on against 5 defenders. 4, obviously, when Wilder made the change. Give away a lot of daft free kicks around the box. Styles, they played with width, had a large quantity of possession in the opponent's half. True. They did, but Sheffield United had a lot of the ball in our own half, attacked a lot down the left-hand side. So that's been picked up now by 2 websites, attacking down our right, trying to get to our right wing back. Dominated possession, cannot argue against that. A lot of through balls. And then look at Newcastle's, was attacking through the middle, and again, we favoured long balls. Frustrating, isn't it? Really, really frustrating. Going to be doing a lot more of these type of videos as well in between games, like we call these pop-up videos. So we are going to be doing a lot more of these as well. But let's go back to your comments before we'll go on to some of the Premier League situations as well. The ASM situation is another Ben Arthur situation under Pardew. I don't believe ASM has COVID. It's a tough one, but he's going to be back, and you would think, in a week's time? So not the Arsenal game, but he should be touch wood, that'll be back for the one on the following weekend, which will be Aston Villa. Is it Aston Villa? Because it's been rearranged, hasn't it? Or was it one after? But you'll be back anyways after the Arsenal game. Should be playing 4-2-3-1 and players in the right place. Again, John B, I have to agree with you. Oscar's just said that also Steve Bruce is one of the most red-carded managers and his players have had the most reds. I've seen that stat as well. His discipline isn't great. The saint-maximin will leave. There's no way he'll play for this turn-up. We've got Donald Trump, the equivalent of football, in charge of us, haven't we? Only times we've looked decent this season was West Ham, agree, Burnley, Everton to some extent. Liverpool defensively, I would agree on that. Yeah, defensively. Arsenal, maybe it spells last week, but it's not great when you can all count them on one hand, is it? It is pretty poor as well. You'll see your comments obviously appearing on screen. We're going to look at next is we're going to look now. So we've got people who are out there who say, "Oh, Newcastle, Steve Bruce is doing great. It's fantastic. You know, we want to stay in the Premier League. It's what Newcastle want." Blah blah blah. So you've got the neutrals who didn't watch us. So I thought, you know what, we're going to put up some Premier League stats which will back up what Newcastle fans have been saying. Not just this season, even the season last season, which Bruce points-wise done very well, right? So this is the form table right now before Arsenal drew with Crystal Palace tonight, right? Look where Newcastle are right now. I'll pause for a second. Have a look. 19th. We're 19th in the table from the last 6. Yes, we've had some big teams, which Bruce, if Bruce saw this, he would argue against it, and he'd probably bring up the COVID situation. But our form, and this is not including the 2 defeats in the Cup either, with 8 games now, and another side in Arsenal next week. You need them now outside Arsenal. Get Arsenal look great one week and poor the next. But our form is shocking, and it needs to stop. And we all thought that the Sheffield United game would be the game where we would just stop that rot. We were banking on it. We were hoping for it. And I shouldn't say you need that. That's the game where we're going to win. You've got to go over the white line and do it. And the lads didn't, to be honest with you. So that was, as I say, very, very disappointing. So I want to bring up some more stats. Again, if you're on your mobile, get your eyes straight at the screen. How many times have Newcastle scored in both halves? Both halves, all season from 17 games. Just 3. Just 3 times in both halves. If that was a league table, we'd probably just survive, which we do. Liverpool, obviously, the highest with 10. That'll not surprise. All the big clubs. Brighton, surprisingly, quite high up as well. That surprised me when I seen that stat as well. Look at the one in the middle where we've failed to score at all. We're near the bottom. What, we're 5th bottom with 6 times joint with Arsenal. Arsenal will actually now be 7 because they didn't actually score tonight. So we've actually moved up a place tonight because of Arsenal's draw. But again, it's alarming that we're not scoring goals. We're not getting bodies forward. Bruce is petrified. I don't get it. Take risk. He doesn't take risks. Even Rafa was cautious, which we all know. But at least Rafa would then attack teams. Not all the time, granted. But Bruce is petrified. He won't chuck bodies forward. You've got to hold a midfielder and Isaac Hayden. Go and let the lads play. Let Hayden sit in front of the defence and go and play. We've got some talented. Our fans need to remember we do have some shit players, yes, but we do have some talented players in the squad as well. Clean sheets. Newcastle have only kept 3 out of 17. Palace have now got 3 because they've drew again tonight with Arsenal. So Palace have joined up with us. So we're joint 3rd bottom. Clean sheets. We're conceding goals left, right, and centre because we're so far back. It's like parking. Never mind a bus. It's like parking a double-decker bus in front of in front of it, and it's like waving your white flag already. You got nothing thinking. We're playing here just to not get beaten, and that's what I do agree with the national pundits. Yes, they didn't say Newcastle week in, week out. But what I do agree with, some of them are now saying that Steve Bruce goes out and play for a point. Because he does. He doesn't go out and play for a win. There's no way that he does. And it's horrible to watch when it's frustrating us out. And the man should not be in charge of Newcastle United. He's not adequate. He's not he's out of his depth. This club is too big for him. And do you know what winds me up? And I cannot lie to you. When he turns around and goes, well, I'm a Geordie, I understand the pressures of this club. No Geordie in the right mind would manage Sunderland. They wouldn't. I wouldn't manage Sunderland. Hey, the pay would be fantastic. But there's the white line. There's a line that you cross and you do not go across the enemy. If I'm a Geordie, I'm not managing my enemy. Vice versa, I wouldn't expect a Mackham to manage us. You just didn't do it. Your blood is Geordie, you die, you're upset when Newcastle lose. It's in your heart, it's in your head. When we lose, we're all upset, we're all pissed off, we're all tweeting, we're all putting on Facebook, we're all on videos and whatever you do, talking to your mates, doing the pub. It hurts. I don't think it hurts Steve Bruce whatsoever. How can one of us go and manage them, Sunderland? It wouldn't happen. No right mind Geordie would go and manage them in modern times as well, especially with the scrutiny that's on. I'm not having that. I hate it. I hate it when the fact that he's brought up as a Geordie. Yes, he was born up here. Born in what? Corbridge or in Wallsend, moved to whatever. But he's been away for years, man. He's been away for over 30 years. Not having that, Not having that. Ryan Sweeney says, how many people are keen to return to St. James's Park? I tell you what, Ryan, I bet it's loads. And I'll tell you why. Because I bet they want to voice their concerns to Steve Bruce. I think Steve Bruce is a very lucky boy that Newcastle fans are not going through and voicing their... Because I reckon, do you remember a few years ago, when a fan came on the pitch and chucked his season ticket at the manager? Mad, man. Absolutely mad. A lot of you are saying that he's a Man United fan, not a Geordie as well. And I want to highlight this. Steve Bruce was in charge of Sunderland this night. Remember? Halloween, great day for us. Mackham Slayer, Kevin Nolan, you name it. It was a brilliant day for us. That is Steve Bruce's best Newcastle result, and he wasn't even managing with. That tells you a whole story as well. Right, let's move on to some more tactics. I've just completely gone off topic as well. Touches. How many touches to the ball did Newcastle get? Look where we are. 18th. Surprisingly, Villa are 19th, which actually surprised me considering how well Villa are doing at the moment. But even though Sheffield United, who have just picked up their first winner, up in 14th, Spurs at 12th doesn't surprise me because Mourinho is quite defensive. But we're 18th for the touches of the ball. Now, if you have the ball, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win the match because possession doesn't guarantee that you win games. But it fucking helps. It definitely helps you if you've got a lot of the ball. And we've got under 9,000 touches sitting in 18th. There's going to be common trend that's going to come up here when I start showing all these stats because we're all hovering around about 17, 18, 19th with all these stats that I'm showing you. Let's take a look at passes, shall we? Look where Newcastle are. 18th again. And again, this is quite similar to touches because if you're having a lot of the ball, all the teams are quite similar. So again, we're 18th for passes. Again, Villa are 19th. Again, Burnley are 20th. And again, Spurs are 12th. And again, Sheffield United are 14th. So that doesn't change too much, but we do struggle to have the ball and keep the ball. And like I say, it doesn't guarantee that you win games, of course not. But it definitely helps you, 100%. Clearances, because we sit so far back, how many times are we under pressure? And this is going to be on Carl Darlow in a moment, but this is the defence, first of all. Clearances, Newcastle are top. And not just top, we're top by quite some margin. Spurs, who are defensive, have a lot of clearances. Sheffield United, West Brom, Palace, Wolves, a few teams who are in the bottom half there. But we are by far the most clearances. Again, these stats that I'm showing you now are before tonight Arsenal Crystal Palace game. So they might change overnight. But that is worrying. That is worrying. It's nearly 40 clearances, more than 40 clearances ahead of Spurs. And we're only not even halfway through the table. That could be double by the end of the season. Could be 80. Could be 80 more. Too many clearances. What does that tell you? That tells you that we're so far back, we can't get out. We're clearing the ball. And then it's coming back in. We're clearing it out. And then it's coming back in. It's repeat after repeat after repeat. And that's why our clearances are so high. It is. And then we're going to take a look now at the goalkeeper. Carl Darlow, first of all, has been absolutely fucking brilliant this season. But if we take a look at how many saves, high claims, and punches that he has to make, where's he going to be? You've guessed it. He's going to be near the top. So these are saves that how many clubs? Now, we used to be top. But now Sam Johnson, who's at West Brom, has now taken the lead for the most saves. And he's had a great season for West Brom, I must say. Leeds United have crept up. Obviously, Bielsa just attack. Bielsa reminds me of Keegan back in the 90s. Attack, defend. Well, I say defend. There's no defence. But you know what I mean? Leaking in goals. That's what I was meant to say, sorry. But we're joint with Leeds for 67 saves. So again, the goalkeeper is being tested so much. We've got two, we're the highest for clearances. We're not getting out of the box. We're spending a lot of the time, a big chunk, 2/3 of the game in our own half. In our own half, we're spending 2/3 of the whole game, an hour, inside our own half. Honestly, high claims. We're fifth. Well, I say we're fifth. We're joint third, really. The same with Burnley and Fulham. So Carl Darlow is having to come out for crosses or corners and make high claims. And Villa, surprisingly, are top on that one. But again, the goalkeeper has been worked for corners, crosses, free kicks, set pieces as well. So the goalkeeper has been worked over hard. Carl Darlow is right up there for player of the season for me. If we're done player of the season right now, he gets it for me. Punches, and this won't surprise you either. Newcastle are top. So again, these are punches, and this includes set pieces, corners, free kicks. Carl Darlow is top with 17. Again, pressure, similar to high claims. He's coming out with punch. If you combine high claims and punches together, we're top. Will be joint top again. And again, I must stress this is before the Arsenal and before the Palace game as well. I've got one more stat, which of course is the most important one, which is coming up, which is just the league table update as well. We'll have a look to see what he's saying in the comments as well. It's the excuses and dusting ourselves. That winds me up. That's a fantastic point because he says it every fucking match. Do you know what it is? And I've said this before last week. When Rafa used to have his pre-match on a Friday, I'll watch all of it. So intrigued with what he says, and it would normally be about 15, 20 minutes. Can't stand watching Bruce's. Can't stand it. I haven't even watched one. I watched his first one when he was first appointed, and his first one against Arsenal, and that's it. I haven't watched one. I can't stand it. It's first of all, the reporters are not asking the hard enough questions for me. They're not bringing up what the fans want to say, whether they're being told by the media, I don't know, by the club's media, I don't know. But he gets off with a lot of stuff, and the post-match stuff, oh, Christ. The post-match stuff. No, it's the same stuff. Well, you know, I thought we played well in spells. Then there's an excuse, and then he interrupts the reporter. Don't know if you've seen that as well. So if it's Laura Woods, so Steve, how did Callum Wilson? Well, you know, he butts in all the time. That winds me up. I know that's got an outdated tactics. I think that's just manners. And I've got no manners. I'm not one to judge. Put it that way, because I do swear. And he just goes on, we'll dust ourselves down, we'll give it a crack, we'll hope, we'll give it a go. There's no belief. Send a message out to the fans saying, we are going to. It's not this, we hope, it doesn't give me or you the belief that we're going to get into the game and win. And I hate it. I hate it. And for the last word, the video that I do when I wrap up, there's a couple of times recently I just haven't bothered putting Bruce in now because he winds everybody up for what he says. To say it's copy and paste every week. Darren Moore, I've just seen that one as well. Yeah, Daniel, you said that the other day as well, didn't you? Darren Moore. He's unproven in the Premier League, but he's a nice fella like Steve Bruce. Darlow save this season. I've said Newcastle goals. I'd probably sell a bit more for Darlow save. Yeah, sorry, I didn't read that right. I agree. Leeds remind us of us in the golden years as well. Carroll is too old. He's always injured, says Paul Jackson. I'm not even joking. If you know anyone in Newcastle, tell them to sign me because for 40 grand a week, I'll give it my absolute best. I think all the words. Granted, Lee Ryder as a prime example, slags Bruce off on Twitter and then licks his arse in the press room. Well, Stephen actually has gone, if you check him, he's actually gone against Bruce. I'm not sticking up for anyone, but he has actually gone against Steve Bruce recently, the last couple of weeks, and more of it, please, more of it. We want to say not just locals, more nationals, even like the likes of BT, Sky, BBC, put the pressure on when the press conference as well. Joey Barton's he's unproven though, and it's that nostalgia, isn't it, with Joey Barton coming back. For me, if we were to change manager, I'm not too concerned who comes in. What's bugging me is we've got to get Bruce out to worry about who comes in later. You might say, oh, well, you might get the same. I take that risk. If I can get Bruce out, I'll take that risk right now if you offered me as well. I'll play for FO. If Mark Wright can get a debut, 33, why can't wait for the tune? Yeah, he's turning 34 as well, I think, the celebrity. Let's take a look at the league table. This is updated. This is after Arsenal have played Palace tonight. Fulham obviously 7 points behind with a game in hand. If they win that game in hand, they'll go above Brighton, and Brighton are 5 points behind her. So it's okay at the minute, but the concern is our form, and I do expect her to get beat off Arsenal. Sorry if anyone disagrees with us. I know Arsenal, as I mentioned already earlier on, are very indifferent, but I just think we'll go down against Arsenal, and then we've got the likes of Everton, Palace, we've got Leeds, Villa before the big guns as well. I'm sure we've got Palace. We've got Palace? I'm sure I have. And then the transfer window, of course, I think it'll be a lift if we can get a couple of loans in. And that sounds mad saying that loans, isn't it? When Newcastle United rely on loans. Just something to lift the club. That's why I think that Sheffield United game is massively deflated with Al. I think Sheffield United and West Brom are going to go down. And then I think it's between Newcastle, Brighton, Burnley and Fulham for the last place. I really do. Right then, if you want to get your comments and fire them in, because we're going to wrap up right now. Arsenal will thrash us this poll. We've got an awful record against the Arsenal. You're very right. We are awful away from home as well. I won't be eating cabbages for my dinner until Bruce is out. I'm so sick of looking down the table every year. The only time that we've had recently is the Championship. So depressing. The only good times that we've had under Ashley's Pardew season when we finished 5th as well. Bring Florian back as well. Yeah, at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if we got beat off everybody. Fulham are fighting, you can say it. Yeah, they're on a little good run, aren't they? And apparently when talks with the Huddersfield midfield, we don't need a Huddersfield midfielder. We need quality coming in. We really do. Ewan's just said there, we have such good attackers, but Bruce plays them defensively pretty much, which makes them get yellows and reds. It's because of frustration, just like Fraser. Fraser was stupid the other night. He really was. He's a daft twat. What he done? If Bruce is a character from the Cabbage Patch Kids, was that a team under him? We aren't going to win for a while, to be honest, says Callum. If we go down, we won't return, says Liam. I don't think I can watch Bruce anymore. You say that, Oscar, but I bet you tune in again for hope. It's the hope that kills you. That's what it is. Luke, with a 3, says we're going down. Bring Mikel Merino back. And unfortunately, Sam, I think he's too much. I think it'll cost too much now. Spanish international now. I would play Wilson and Carroll against Arsenal. Great winning with Rafa last day of the Championship. Scott Parker's doing bits for them. So jealous. I'd love to have Rafa back, says Ryan. And a great video, says John B. So speaking of that note, if you can hit that like, we should stick together. Thank you obviously for watching as well. Thank you for liking the video. If you haven't, please do that now. It does help because it did take a couple of hours to put all this together with all the stats and graphics, which I will be posting on social media in the next 24 hours. Coming up on the channel, I must stress we've had Brian Kerr. Remember him? Midfielder, Newcastle midfielder. Under Sir Bobby Robson. He's on NFTV Extra now. That's already out, so go over, have a look at that. That's our second channel. And he's talked all about his time at Newcastle, which is good. We've obviously had an FA Cup hero on the channel yesterday, which is fantastic. And we've got a black and white show coming up over the weekend, probably Saturday, I would think, depending on the other lads, if their availability. And we'll get your WhatsApp in, get you involved as well. But that's it. We'll see you in a couple of days. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your night. Bye-bye.